Hey everyone, it's Maria. Welcome to my channel. Today we are celebrating 800 subscribers and I am doing question answers for the next couple videos just because I've never done them before. I love questions and answers. Questionnaires filling out is one of my favorite things to do. So I will go ahead and jump right in. I do have 3 different videos I'm going to do just because I wanted to keep it brief. As brief as possible. The first one is going to be on reading questions. The second one will be on homeschooling, and the third one will be miscellaneous. Yeah, so that you can tune in to whichever ones you care about. If I start laughing right now or giggling, it's because my boys are in the other room watching some Minecraft video that they think is hilarious, and my eldest, my 9-year-old, his laugh is my favorite noise, and it's so funny. Anyway, that's what is going on if I start cracking up for that. Okay, so first I'm going to go ahead and start with reading. I actually did have these already pre-filmed, ready to go, and I got more good questions in. And because some questions were split up, I didn't necessarily keep track of who asked me everything, just because my notes would have gotten just really insane. So thank you if you ask questions. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. All right, reading questions. The first reading question is probably one of the most obvious. What is your favorite book and who is your favorite author? So for my favorite book, up until recently, Frankenstein by Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley was my favorite book for a very long time. I reread that one several times, and I cannot actually find my copy of it, which is bothering me because it's my favorite, and my grandma gave me that copy, so somewhere in this house. Go ask the boys. So my current favorite, if you're already tired of hearing this, for anybody who's been here very long, Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. This book reduced me to an emotional disaster. I actually have a selfie of when I finished this book, and my face was all red and splotchy, tears coming down, because this book not only spoke to my theology, but it spoke to how I view humanity. It was beautifully written. And it also won John Steinbeck as my #1 favorite author. That man, I would read his grocery list and be totally fine. He just makes me feel all the things. So, yes. Also, other favorite authors that I've really enjoyed, Shauna Nyquist. She is a Christian author that does lots of different essays about life, and she's a very beautiful writer. Jesmyn Ward, well, I don't necessarily know if I appreciate everything she writes. The way she puts a pen to paper and makes you feel like you're in there tasting the blood, really. She just really can throw down. So I also have appreciated her lately, even though I don't necessarily say that I would call her my favorite author. So John Steinbeck, you win the points. I love you. Okay, next question. What are good comfort read books that feel like a warm hug to you? And this was another hard one to do. You guys asked really good questions. All right, Harry Potter is the easy answer. I've reread this series several times. I didn't read them until I was an adult. And there's just so many good quotes in here. I have enjoyed reading the illustrated ones with my children. We're in the middle of the 3rd one. And so that one for me is just sentimental. Ones from my childhood that feel like warm hugs. Frances Hodges Burnett by Little Princess and The Secret Garden. These particular versions, I've read them through several times. I love that A Little Princess talks about not how one particular person is a princess or should be treated well, but that how everybody has royalty in them, and it's how we treat one another, and how oftentimes that makes us who we are, and how we treat other people. I just really love all the little lessons in here. I love the illustrations in this particular copy. It makes me feel like I'm 5 or 6 again, and yeah. This one, just the idea of looking for beauty in hidden places, and finding who you are. It's just, these books. Okay, as far as picture books go, there are 2 big ones. The Fantastic Flying Books of Mr. Morris Les Moore by William Joyce. This was actually made into a Pixar short. You can look it up very easily. This book is about how stories become us, how stories change us, how everyone has a story in them. I cry, I think literally every time that I've read this, I have cried. I've had to have my children finish reading it for me because it's just that beautiful. I want to show you my favorite illustration because it's just the best. If you need to buy a picture book for anybody, this is the one if you are a reader. Look at that. Oh, it's just, it's a beautiful, beautiful book. Boys, quiet down. And then this one, When God Was a Little Girl. This is written by David Weiss, illustrations by Joanne Hernandez Lindemann. One of my best friends actually is friends with the illustrator, and that's how I got my hands on this. This book is a retelling of the creation story. Little girl asks her dad to tell her a story about when God was a little girl. And so it's told with God as a little girl creating the world. I like the diversity in it. I love the warmth and the joy and the feelings evoked from it. It's just a warm hug, this book is. So, especially if you have a Christian mindset, but it's more progressive and not as literal fundamentalist, I think this is a great choice. Seriously, if you can hear him laughing, it's just the best noise. I'm really sorry. I hope you can hear me. Okay. Next book, or next question is probably the hardest, but it's just such a good one. What are 5 books that really represent you? 5. Okay. These are the questions that I ask people that people hate when I ask them. Okay. So the first one that I'm going to go with is the oldest one that I have. This is The Velveteen Rabbit, and it's written by Marjorie Williams, illustrated by Michael Green. This is my copy from, I don't know, I was probably 1 maybe when I got this. My mom probably got it for one of my first Easters. This story is about love and how love makes people real, even if it makes them a little bit grungy sometimes and worn around the edges. This book to me represents what life is about. It's about loving, and it's about maybe not turning out perfect in the end, but turning out known, turning out useful and kind and loved. And it just, I don't know. This book is a good representation of how I feel about life. Donald Miller's A Million Miles in 1,000 Years. For those of you who don't know, he wrote Blue Like Jazz, and this book I've read several times. I've taught several workshops on it. It's really about intentional living and about, I think it's a great one for readers because it talks about looking at your life as if you're telling a story. And if you're a storyteller, you understand that the best stories are the ones that have inconveniences in them or struggles and character growth. And if you don't put your character in a little bit of peril, nothing good is ever going to come out of it. And so it talks about how we should take our own lives and become a character in our story, the main protagonist, and how to do that well. And so this book for me, I don't know how many times I've taught this book, how many times I've thought about this book. Probably it's become part of my DNA at this point, how I think about life. So that's another one. This next one, it's only a few years old, and it's Love Warrior by Glennon Doyle. I really enjoy this book because Love Warrior is probably, if I had an occupation, that's what I would call myself. I am a homeschooling mom, and I'm not currently employed under somebody doing paid work. But for me, warriors are those who fight for something they believe in, but love warriors are the people who are fighting to show the world what it is at its best, how we can be our best. Love Warrior, the book, talks about looking at ourselves, forgiving ourselves for where we fall short, looking at others in the same way, and encouraging everyone to kind of find that wholeness, and even when it's difficult and ugly. So that's why that one made the list. Anne of Green Gables. This book, okay, I pretended I was Anne of Green Gables only 1,000 million times when I was little. Uh, the way she looks at beauty, the way she's always imagining things to be grander than they are, I just adore Anne, and her spunk and the way she livens up people around her. I had my husband watch the TV miniseries of it that came out in the 90s. He got it for me on DVD, and I told him, I said, you need to watch Anne of Green Gables and Anne of Avonlea, because that is how I wanted to view myself, and that's really who I probably tried to form myself into when I was younger. And he watched it and he totally agreed. So he's like, this makes so much sense. I understand you so much better. So Anne of Green Gables, I mean, she's just a standard. And then I would have to say, I do identify as a Christian, and the Bible has formed me into a lot of who I am. Not the fire and brimstone parts, but the parts that talk about loving our neighbors and changing culture to not be a consumer mentality, but to be one of love and one of marginalized people, and those kinds of things is what I resonate with. So that is why I also chose the Bible for that. Okay. Whew, all right. What do I think of, this is completely different. What do I think of the idea of schools monetizing reading rewards? Would I do that as a parent? Do you think there's benefit in that? This, I actually have had very specific conversations with my husband on. He read a book called Punished by Rewards, and it talks about the idea of intrinsic and extrinsic rewards. And if you are using extrinsic rewards, that's hard to say, rewards, like money to motivate, that will work for a while, but it doesn't do the ultimate end goal of making the pleasure feeling and the reason why you do things on the inside. It won't ingrain that as a motivation. So we as a family have chosen not to do monetary rewards for reading, even though it's been very tempting. My 9-year-old is more reluctant. He loves nonfiction. He loves graphic novels, but he still has yet to willingly pick up a chapter book on a consistent basis and read through it. That's just not where he's comfortable yet. And as a parent and as an educator, I've had to step back and say, eventually he'll get there. He loves audiobooks and will listen on end to chapter audiobooks, but he's just still not comfortable yet with that sitting down part. So we do things like family challenges where we all work on reading a set number of books together over a summer. We have done things where if they finished one thing, then we can go to the bookstore and pick out something else for them. We've done things with other education rewards, like getting to choose the snack that we bake together, or watching a family movie and they've gotten choices. So we do things like that, more experience things. I try and make reading as pleasurable an experience as possible. Writing too. That means that I will light candles. I will let them have snacks or tea or hot chocolate. I will play music in the background. I will cuddle on the couch with their favorite blanket and help them along. I do everything in my power to tie in that pleasure feeling with the things that I want them to do, like reading. So that is hopefully a comprehensive answer to the question. But yeah, Punished by Rewards by Alfie Kohn is the book if you are interested in that research. All right, the next question. Would I like my kids to watch my videos in the future? And I'm pretty sure Tina asked that one. They do currently watch some of them now, which is really fun. My husband watches all of them, and they really are very supportive of me having a channel. Oftentimes they'll refer to it, or they'll say, hey, I think you should talk about this book on your channel. I actually sat down the other day and saw this by where I film. Good luck, Mom. And I just thought that's my 9-year-old. So they really support my channel whether they watch it or not. But I think it is really fun to kind of have this. Also, and it's a very morbid side note, I've scrapbooked my whole life, honestly, because I always feel like, what if I get Alzheimer's, or what if I die early and my kids won't know who I was? And so this is just one more way to kind of leave my mark on the universe. That sounds morbid, but that's who I am. So, okay. What books have you hated? Okay. I often will just DNF a book if I don't like it. So there are a lot of books that probably could have been hate books, but I didn't hate them because I didn't finish them. Now, there are 3 books that are immediate things that I have hated. Oh no, 4, but one of them is a kid's book that was like Barbie as a computer engineer, and she didn't really, it was awful. That was a kid's picture book that really angered me. But we won't talk about that right now. Right now we're going to talk about My Antonia by Willa Cather. I have read that twice. Once for book club, once during high school for an academic decathlon. In my opinion, while I know some people think that writing is beautiful, all I thought was, I don't want to hear about what color the grass is again. That's the first one. The second one is The Historian by Elizabeth Kostova. My mom loved that book, which is why I got through that book. I love Dracula. Really thought it was a phenomenal book. But The Historian, while so many people loved it, all the characters for me kind of felt flat. I mean, it was huge. It was like 700 pages, which for me, I'm not a huge big book person anyway. It was just, I was expecting a lot more than I got. I thought it had a great premise, a great setup with this look for the real Dracula. I just didn't really care about the characters. I felt like they were flat. They might as well have just been paper vampires. Anyway, that's how I felt about that. And then the third one is Wicked by Gregory Maguire, which technically I did not finish. I tried to read that book 4 or 5 times because I love the music and I love the musical. That book was not my thing. So, and I really wanted to love all of his series because I thought they had a great premise, but I just didn't get into him. So those were my hate books. Those are my 3. Okay. Next. Which book character do I want as an in real life friend? While I don't know if I would like Anne as an in real life friend because I would rather just be her. Hermione would be great because I like talking about nerdy stuff. Casey from Grapes of Wrath I think was a really good friend, and I would talk theology with him. Yeah, those are the people that I would probably think of first. Oh, and Frankenstein's monster. I would sit down because I feel like if somebody would have been his friend, things would not have turned out as badly as they did. So I would have probably taken him to a secluded location and tried to teach him how to be not a monster in his behavior, and to tell him that he was loved and that it would be okay. So that's my other answer. What is your favorite genre to read? Okay. I don't do a lot of fantasy, although I've enjoyed fantasy. My favorite genre, I love nonfiction, memoirs, biographies. I'm even starting to do some science things. I love microhistories. Historical fiction is enjoyable. Literary fiction. I'm not a huge chick lit reader unless it's really well done. Nicholas Sparks, that's another one. I tried to read The Notebook because my friend raved about it in college, and one of my roommates, and I picked it up and I was like, in 3 pages I knew it was going to happen. It was not my thing. A Walk to Remember was another one. I was like, are you kidding me right now? Yeah, so some chick lit I've enjoyed, but that's not the kind that I've enjoyed. And yeah, other genres that I enjoy. Middle grade, I've even started really reading a lot more of with my kids. So that's been fun. Some fantasy, dystopian literature I really like. I like all the books. I love that magical feeling when you go in a library and feel like you can know everything. So, Okay. Any books that you would really want to get to reading with your kids? All of them? No. I try not to force them to read what I like. There are several read alouds that I'm excited to get to with them, and that probably should be a whole nother video. But I know I'm excited when they hit certain milestones to get them a really beautiful copy of my favorites like Frankenstein. Grapes of Wrath, I'm not going to give them until much older because I don't think they'd enjoy it until they got a lot older. I think that's one of those experience life books. I can't wait to read Anne of Green Gables. I'm excited about, in the next couple years, we will do Secret Garden and Little Princess, as well as Island of Blue Dolphins, which is another one that I adored. Those are the ones that I'm pretty excited about getting to. Matilda, that's another one we haven't done yet, so that'll be fun. Okay, I think that is, I think that are all the reading questions. And it's at 21 minutes. So I will go ahead and call it quits. Thank you. 800 subscribers is pretty exciting. So thank you for tuning in my videos. If you have any follow-up questions to any of these, or I didn't answer it well enough, go ahead and put in comments. And I look forward to seeing you in the next 2 videos, at least. I've got several more to film. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.